He's James Collins.
He is Alec Cranston, and this is the
Matter of Fax podcast.
The Matter of Fax podcast brings you the unsung heroes, the unsung stories, news and happenings from across our wonderful city that you maybe thought happened but didn't quite know the truth behind.
And get you all in the loop on what's going on, what's to come, and what can we be prepared for. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 11, the second last episode of this season of Matter of Fax.
Sponsored by Burger King.
What?
Sorry, I had to do our obligatory sponsorship message.
Oh, it's Burger King now.
Burger King.
I thought it was Harvey's.
Is it Harvey? Who the multi-million-dollar deal?
No, Dairy Queen dropped us, so we had to switch up.
Did they?
Anyways,
it's Dairy King now.
Dairy
anyway.
King. Hey, so we are here, Season 2, Episode 11. Very happy to be here. I am here with my esteemed co-host, Mr. James Collins, wearing the exact same shirt he wore last episode.
Okay.
I'm sorry, with one button extra undone. So each episode from here on out will be another button undone until eventually there's just no shirt. There's no shirt left over. Oh, no. Show us more. Anyways, we're here today. We have some great guests coming on to talk the podcast today. We're in our beautiful Podstarter studio in downtown Halifax. Second episode in their new studio. We love it here. Love the vibes. And we are just so thrilled to be here. I sound so cliche, but we are thrilled to be here.
It is wonderful to be here. It's hot out there today. It's over. So we're in that kind of 3-week period we get in this city where locals will know we get very, very hot, like 30 degrees plus. It's for a very small amount of time. The chickens are cooking every time you go outside. The buns are baking as you're walking down Barrington. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we are going to be touching on high season of summer with our guests today. We've got Dennis Campbell and Brian Cooper from Ambassatours coming to join us. We're looking forward to chatting with them later and learning about some of the amazing work that Coop does as well. We're going to leave you in suspense for when he comes on. But a very, very, very good advocate and hero in our community. Yeah. But we always start this with something pretty insane. So you introduce us.
Insane and like how insane?
Was it insane as the plane?
God.
What was it?
Insane as the flame.
It was one of them. It rhymed with crane.
Crane. Insane as the crane.
Insane as the crane. Insane as the crane. Kinda insane like the crane.
Insane as the crane. All right, James. Well, this was kind of an obvious pick for Insane as the Crane, as it really just happened. And we are going to be talking about the boil water advisory effect thing that Halifax Water and the Emergency Alert System put out this past week or so. James, how about that one? That's the one where they had they in areas, I don't have the exact list, but it was like Halifax, Timberley, Bedford, everything but Dartmouth, it seemed like, who specifically runs on, I think it was the Pockwalk water
JD Klein. This isn't from memory. I had to Google this
because I'm going from memory. Right? If you can't tell.
You're not an expert in the specific reservoirs that each postal code area signs up to. No, this was a customer service by the JD Klein Pockwalk Water Treatment Facility. They had a power cut on Canada Day, and some chlorine failed to enter the system, which is ironic because chlorine isn't the best thing for you, but is supposedly better than drinking algae-ridden water straight out of a facility. And because this happened, we'll just say, we don't have numbers, the majority of people in HRM were under a boil water advisory for 2.5 days. So the official word from the gods above was you had to boil the water for a minute to a minute and a half prior to drinking it. And, shit flew. The bottled water flew out of every single shelf in the city, in every single store you can imagine. People lost this ability to learn how boiling worked and just complained the whole time. But I will sympathize. It was a long time to have the boil water advisory. Clearly, the original power cut that caused it, which stopped the water from getting chlorinated, I believe was related to staff not being around on Canada Day. It was something that they would have mitigated, but was allowed to become a power failure because of the holiday. So, we all celebrated Canada Day and then paid the price. Lots of people were online saying that they're feeling incredibly ill and feeling incredibly sick, and they were just hypochondriacs. There was nothing wrong with them. Alec, tell me how you got through this awful. Oh, hang on. You don't. You were one of those bastards who wasn't in the area.
You set me up with a beautiful punchline. I was sitting at home ice cold glass of water straight from the tap. Not straight from the tap. We filter our water because the water has a weird thing to it out there. It's not bad. I seem fine. I feel fine-ish. But yeah, I was drinking nice.
That's why
cold.
you've got a green hue to your skin since you moved to
At least
Cole
it's not
Harbour.
yellow. I know, I'm the yellow, I know. But honestly, it was great. It was easy to get through. I didn't consider like going in when I went into work that day, like if I was going to lunch somewhere. I actually talked to my parents to have a coffee and
To have water.
to have a coffee, and then you don't. It's funny. It's like you don't realize the daily things. Maybe you do. Maybe it's just me being an idiot. But you don't realize the daily things that require water. I said, "Mom, I'm going to make a coffee." She goes, "Okay, well, you have to use that jug we bought over there. It's like one of those big like." From a fountain jug that my mom had with like a spout on it. She goes, "Oh, pour your water from there into the coffee machine, then cook it." And I was like, "Oh, right."
It's like a power cut. I remember when we had a power cut in Bedford, and I turned to Jen and I said, "Well, can't use the internet." This is true. I said, "I'm going to do some laundry. Use the time to do some laundry." Well,
No, sir.
then
You
it's
could
like,
try it.
then it's like,
Dryer.
no. Then so we can't do that because we need power. It's like you forget what you need power
Oh,
for.
power, right? Sorry.
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
No, this was power. And I was like, well, I can't use the internet. I can't work. I'll just do some laundry. And then you're like, shit, I can't do that either. So you got away unscathed, one of the lucky ones.
Unscathed, and I didn't think of it. I'm glad they got it wrapped up quickly because from what I was reading online, again, not an expert, armchair expert, if you will. It was going to have some lasting effects on the food and beverage industry. Like that was going to start.
Oh,
to take
lots
it
of
was
restaurants closed. They
was
couldn't
gonna
wash
start-
the lettuce. They couldn't run the
Exactly.
dishwasher.
It was going to start to take
Yeah.
its toll. And like you said, bottles of water are flying off the shelves. So anywhere you go, like fountain pop, you couldn't drink like a fountain pop or fountain whatever. Had to be a bottle of water, and those were all selling. So people were in crisis mode. In Dartmouth, we were living high, living large, drinking our water, but we took for granted for so long.
Yeah, Cole Harbour yuppies.
Cole Harbour, yep, exactly. And then, but thankfully, they got it taken care of, and as quickly as they, probably could.
They thought the Halifax explosion was bad. We had 2.5 days in July of 2024.
We couldn't
had to
drink
boil
water in this specific area of Nova Scotia.
Well, you talk about like you forget what you use water for. You do. And
Yeah.
I went to bed that night and was like, oh, I just brushed my teeth and used water from the tap. But I didn't worry. It was minor lack of chlorination. It would be different if they said blue-green algae is streaming out of the taps. But what got me online was Talk Bedford, which if you think Halifax Reddit's bad, like Talk Bedford is just bottom feeding.
Yeah, check that out.
Doom scrolling. Anyway, somebody there was saying that in situations like this, the city should be obliged to deliver bottled water to every affected resident. And then other people were coming on saying, well, clearly you didn't get your master's degree in boiling water. Like you can still take water out of the tap. You just got to do this thing. You got to boil it.
You got to boil it.
So what we did at home and what we did in our Bedford office, both were affected by the boil water advisory, is we just continually ran the kettle. So at home, we ran the kettle, we used it for stuff, and then let it cool, and then we just boiled the kettle again.
Yeah, that's what my mom had. She had a couple like kettles lined up in the kitchen that were already
Easy.
boiled.
But people were like, oh my God, what can I do? And no, you can still use the water out of your taps. You just have to boil it. People lost their crap as if we were asking everyone to learn to skydive quickly or something.
That'd be crazy.
And in that on that note, I must say I was shocked that the recent bylaw change in Halifax, which required all residents to learn to skydive quickly.
I saw that.
You see
I
that?
signed up.
You signed up. We got to do it.
No
It's
parachute.
It's
I'm just gonna
compulsory.
go for it. See, my body will. You ever see Flat Stanley? You ever see those comics? I'm trying to hope
Yes.
my body just turns into Flat Stanley once I jump.
So that's
Yeah.
our boil water advisory.
Yeah.
Halifax is known to not handle minor crises very well. They
100%.
like to handle them with a lot of needless drama, and this was not a good time to have it, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, let's go to our Reddit roundup.
Haligonians losing their minds over minor inconveniences.
Okay, so we have two articles today. This first one in the our Halifax subthread is from Supreme_hotdog. The caption is "Dartmouth is unhinged," and it's a picture. And the picture is essentially it's a pylon sign, which the pylon sign is when there's multiple businesses to kind of like business logos and signs to show you what's in that park, what's in that strip plaza. And, based on the tenancy in there, you can rent out space on the sign. So we have a couple different ones in here. We have a taco place. We have Greco, fish and chips. Oh, Greco's fish and chips. Interesting. And I can't tell what that logo at the top is. It's Napa. And then at the bottom.
you should know that better than anyone. We just did a deal with Napa on the other end.
Oh, badooms. Can we say that on this?
Yeah, we're good. It's all
we
public.
did. Yeah, James and I did that. Boom, we did that. That was us. Okay, and there's a sign at the bottom in like those black block letters. It's not a particular company. It says, "At this point, if a clown invited me into the woods, I'd just go." And then Reddit just took that and was very, very funny. They talked about driving through work in Dartmouth and seeing some crazy shit. Do you have anyone that you saw in particular?
Yeah, and I was just laughing out loud as you were introducing us there. I mean, first of all, it's a kind of weird sign, but you can see why. It elicits a response. The top comment on Reddit was posted 4 days ago by Really Me 77. Used to be Really Me 76, but he grew up. He said, "I truly miss driving through Dartmouth for work." What, have you read this one?
I did.
One morning, a guy ran up to my car when I was parked at a red and motioned for me to roll down the window. I obliged, and he asked me, "Do you ever wonder what holds your skin on?" And then ran away at like 100 miles an hour. That's just called a drug habit.
Starting your work day that day, I'd be shook, shook the whole day. People also started going in and talking about the businesses. Someone said, "El Este kicks so much ass." That was from Beer Slaying Beaver. I have heard good things about El Este. They're like a taco restaurant, apparently really good. What else was said here?
We're launching into a big clown discussion. What's the background to the big clown discussion?
Well, I think it has to do with like that trend when like people were dressing up as clowns or whatever it was and appearing in the woods or
standing on corners,
appearing in random places, and it's just meant to freak people out, and they would chase after you sometimes.
Well, it was big in the UK because they realized it wasn't illegal. You can't drive dressed as a clown because you're like impairing your own vision and you're limiting your ability, and the big pontoon shoes don't reach the gas pedal. But there is actually nothing illegal with standing on a corner at night holding helium balloons as a clown. The mere fact that it scares people is inconsequential because you're not jumping out going "Rah!" or anything like that. So this became a big thing in the UK that people would essentially go to they knew that some people would be getting off a bus and they would stand there on the street corner with balloons very late at night.
Yeah.
And it was a nuisance behavior which wasn't illegal. So I'm all for that. I'm all for nuisance behaviors which aren't illegal.
A little bit of fun and games. If you walk down the street and you saw, maybe not a clown, middle of the night.
A Cranston.
Well, you're close-ish, maybe not. You're walking down the street, middle of the night. You look into the abyss. You see a dark, ghoulish figure in the forest at the end of a roadway. You see a light flicker as he lifts his lantern in the air.
Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams calls you over. "Come here, man. Come here, but you got to pay the admission fee, and I'll tell you, but come here. I miss that guy quite a bit. I wonder what he's up to.
Mr. Adams, I'm sure he's prospering somewhere.
Up on Citadel Hill. Or back in, I'm watching a show right now where this lady gets transported back to the 1800s, and the show is based on, she's from the 1940s, but she gets transported back to like 1750. And that's what I picture Mr. Adams being. He's actually not from this time period. I think he might have came up from an older time period.
Or he's from the future and he went back too far and now he's getting back to where he should be.
He's working his way
landed
back.
in like 2022 or whenever we interviewed him. Just to talk about, like, you see a clown on the side of the road, and I joked you see a Cranston. I left lunch about an hour ago and I was walking down Salter Street and I was talking to some people while a light was red. I was waiting to cross, and I've got a loud voice and a fairly distinctive accent.
True.
This random guy in front of me just turned to me. He went, "Are you James?" And I said, "Yeah, guilty. Are you serving a warrant or what are you doing?" And he said, "No, I'm Lachlan. I'm Alec's brother." So I had a lovely chat with Alec's lovely brother.
Yes, sir.
And then just to freak Alec out, we took a selfie and I sent it to Alec and just randomly texted him a photo of me and his brother who he never knew I met.
It's a great crossover episode. That's what I used to call it. Like two guys in my life that don't always meet. I don't think it might be the first time you guys have met.
Yep, first time we've met.
Lachlan, he was on his way to clean some beer kegs for his job.
He was telling me about it. He had
Yeah.
some nifty equipment with him.
Yeah, he kills me. He just parks for everyone. Then afterwards, I saw him parking in front of one of the restaurants he was going into. He was just parking straight up into a no parking zone, and I ran at his car as a joke, freaked him out, and I was like, there's a parking spot down there. He goes, "Yeah, well, that one's not in front of the entrance." I'm like, "Dude, you can walk up 10 feet. Anyway, he's probably getting ticketed as we speak.
We'll just finish with one last comment on this. Somebody commented and said, "Holy Christ, that's disturbing. Imagine driving down the road and seeing an ad for Greco Pizza sends chills down my spine."
Greco.
All right, where are we going next here, Mr.
Well,
Cranston?
we have another thread here. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long-ass description, but it's from Waterloo Wanderer, and it just says, "This just in, we are seriously effed for the next few years." And I've sent you this, right? It's in reference to traffic and how hard it is to get in and out of places. And I won't read the big one, but in the summary, one person said, "Total shit show trying to get out of downtown. We sat in lower water for an hour, only to be turned around in front of the Marriott. Guy said it was because there's a hole in the road. No way. Every street downtown is gridlocked. Besides that, the next most ridiculous thing is people blasting their horns, thinking that's going to do something. That I agree with. I've seen gridlock down there where people are just hammering the horn and like as if that's going to make a difference. Like if people are going to be able to move. I watched two guys coming down what would that have been? That would have been Hollis? Sorry.
That was sexy.
Sorry. Maybe that was Argyle. No, I forget what it was. Maybe it was I forget what it was. It's right at the intersection where the Halifax Hotel is and Scotia Square. Anyways, they were both next to each other in gridlock. And one guy, they were both turning left, and one lane was not to be turning left, and they were getting mad at each other, yelling like, "You're in the wrong lane, you're in the wrong lane." I'm like, you're both kind of screwed. You're both going to turn left here. You're into this now. There's no getting out of it. And they both just went and both turned left and almost got into a car crash. And they had all the time in the world to plan out to not let that happen. One guy slow down, one guy not. But they were just too angry. And
why didn't they just come to an agreement? You go in front. Like
I know.
This is me. So you got a vehicle that's in a lane that is straight ahead. And the next lane to it's a left turn lane, and he meant to be in the left turn lane, but he's in the straight ahead lane. Now, hopefully you or I would, because we made an error, we'd inconvenience ourselves and we'd go straight ahead, and then we'd come back around and do it again, or go around a roundabout and do it the right way.
Yeah.
But what gets me in Halifax now, and it used to happen before, but it's happening at an increasing rate, is people are like, I'm in the wrong lane, so I'm going to hold all of you up and inconvenience you because of my error. So again, if I was in the wrong lane, I would continue in the wrong lane until I had a point to turn around. But people now are just like, hey, I screwed up, so you can all pay for it back there for 150 vehicles.
Yeah.
There was a good point made on Reddit by Jamuza. User Jamuza said the location of Halifax was chosen because it was easily defensible and almost impossible to easily access. Almost 300 years later, we're doubling down, trying to funnel 500,000 people through a mile-wide, mostly residential corridor onto an 18-square-kilometer peninsula. I could not agree more. We were designed to never be what we are today. But at the same time, I have this issue. What does Halifax want? Because people want us to grow. People want the amenities. People want the inward investment. Part of that is traffic. Part of that is planning. Is a disparity in the timeline of planning. When a city grows, so cities rarely future-proof. Cities typically grow and adapt. And when you look at the infrastructure issues we have in Halifax and the road issues we have in Halifax, it is a sort of next generation resolution. It's probably 10 years in the future that those things get fixed. And this is a story that happens in big cities that grow rapidly all around the world. It's just we're not used to it here. Some other people I've read online have said it right. They've come here from Calgary. They've come here from Vancouver. They've come here from Toronto. And they've said, like, the fact that it might take you an hour to go 18 kilometers is still good. Yeah. When I lived in Toronto, it took me an hour to go 6 kilometers. It would have taken me 3 hours to go 18 kilometers. I'll give an example with Cushman & Wakefield, our company.
Plug.
Cushman & Wakefield, for all your commercial real estate needs. The people in our Toronto office, the majority of them live sort of 5-6 kilometers from work, and it regularly takes them over an hour to get there. For people in Halifax, this inconvenience might be new, but it's very normal in cities that grow. Yeah, we're just not used to it here.
I see a lot of comments saying they wish it was like, I mean, I've never been over there, so I don't really know. And one even said we should be like medieval Europe, or we should be like places in Europe where it's all cycling and light traffic. But as someone that's been over there, what's it like over there?
Yeah, really good. Like
really
I was in the UK up until 2 weeks ago, and everywhere we go, public transit. I actually had this discussion with someone recently. So I'm going to try and say this in a nice way. I'll actually ask you a question first. When was the last time you took a bus? For me, I'm going to be honest with you, it was 13 years ago.
Last time I took like public transit bus?
Yep.
High school, so 2015.
Yeah, okay, so a long time. So this is the story across Halifax. There is a sort of stigma to using buses in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
When you go to Europe, people are proud to use them. So my parents are both middle-income retirees on great pensions. They still use the bus every day.
Really?
And when Jen and I are back in Wales, and I'm like, hey, can you just we took a temporary gym membership when we were down there, and I was like, hey, can you just run Jen and I down to the gym? My parents are always like, why don't you just jump on the bus? Everybody, no matter of income, status level, job, they all use the buses in Europe. But in Canada, we're like, ooh, kind of the back of the bus, right? So we need to change that. And when we went to London, any big city we go to in Europe, Jen and I always use public transit. My parents, my friends, their neighbors all use public transit. So it is easier there, but it's clean, it's cheap, it's on time. Our mass transit issues are barely beginning here in Halifax, in my opinion. So no wonder people don't use them.
A lot of the comments do say like one guy said traffic will never improve here until people shift away from car culture. Taking the buses. So it's tough. And with buses, it's great. I mean, they have their bus lanes. But I want to mention this. Do you know if the garbage trucks, like RE Group, municipal, like the big green dump truck, I saw one using a bus lane today, just trucking along nice and slow. And I don't know if that's allowed.
No, it is. So
it is.
Yeah. So there's not enough city buses right now. So the city have with Regroup, they have a contract where if you have a Metro pass, you can actually jump in the back of a garbage truck for a ride. No,
you said that with such a straight face,
didn't I?
Like that, you could convince me.
I don't know. I'm sure because they are heavy vehicles that pollute. The city wants them to efficiently move through the city. That's my guess.
Amy Way says we're doomed.
Pretty much sums it up.
We are doomed. Overall, we are doomed. No, things are great. I love Halifax. I love coming over here. I live in Dartmouth now, but I do love coming over here. And traffic sucks. And parking's tough too. And you pay for parking on the street. It can be $15-20 for the day. But I mean, in the end, if you drive down here, you're choosing to drive down. People get mad about parking. You know what you're getting into. I do get angry, but you know what you're getting into. Traffic too, and for me, it's knowing the times. So it's like if you come here enough, you know when it's going to be really bad traffic. So if you have it in your power to avoid that, I just try to avoid that.
You have the power.
You have the power.
Well, this is exactly what user Mr. Obese says. 90% of cars have one person in them. It's not a couple of people's faults. It's all of ours. And I give an example. So Alec and I had lunch downtown today, and I was cursing away in my car and getting all stressed, and my blood pressure was up because I couldn't park. Well, like they say, you're not stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
You are the traffic.
I was complaining that so many people are coming to Halifax today, I couldn't find a parking spot. Who was one of them? I was one of them. I am the problem. So yeah, you look around the city, bunch of people with one person in them. Let's get on the buses. Let's get on the bikes. And there is this other amazing thing you can do, which people have forgotten. It involves putting your left foot in front of your right foot, and then your left foot back in front, and then your right foot, and you continue that until you trip over or get to your destination. It's called walking.
Yeah, I find
very efficient way to get around.
I find, and I won't ramble too much here, but I find when you're between driving and traffic and parking, it's hard to look at everyone else's perspective. Like for example, I get pissed if someone takes a parking spot that I'm driving around Halifax doing circles and I just turn down, say whatever, Grafton or wherever, and someone's just pulling into a spot. I genuinely get mad at that person. I'm like, you mother took my spot. But no, he or she just got there first. I'd be just as happy if I were them. That's their right to take that spot. But I get pissed off.
Oh, you're allowed to.
Just like when I get pissed off and I'm stuck in traffic, as if it's not my own fault for driving.
Thanks, Henry Ford.
Bum, bum, bum.
Well, on that note,
I think it's just about that time. I see our guests have pulled into the studio. They're ready to rock and roll. So let's bring them on in here and have a good conversation.
Let's do it. Well, we've already said it's a lovely day out there today. I just walked to the studio. The sun was baking on my back. It is high tourism season, and we felt it was a very worthy time to have a very worthy conversation with a powerhouse of tourism here in Halifax and in Nova Scotia. And we've got a pretty full studio right now. We're not in the biggest room. We've managed to squeeze 4 of us in the middle of summer. The weather's warm, the room's warm, the people are warm. It's hotting up in here. Who have we got?
It's cooking in here. We have Dennis Campbell and Brian Cooper from Ambassatours here with us today. Bit of a brief background on Ambassatours. So they are a prominent tourism company based here in Halifax, known for its iconic harbor hopper tours, British style, James, hop-on, hop-off buses, the tall ship Silva, George's Island Ferry, and a variety of shore excursions that help our cruise guests fall in love with the area. Ambassatours offers a unique way to explore the beauty and history of the city and way beyond that. They're affiliated with Grey Line, which is a global leader in sightseeing tours. Ambassatours is dedicated to providing exceptional experiences for both locals and tourists.
The great thing about Ambassatours is that so much is on offer. We actually couldn't mention it all in that intro, could we?
No.
But we're proud to be joined by the best of the company. To my immediate right, we have Dennis Campbell, the CEO of Ambassatours, and under his leadership, the company has flourished. Dennis is passionate about showcasing the region's natural beauty and cultural heritage, ensuring visitors and locals have memorable and enriching experiences. Now, Dennis is an outspoken voice and advocate for local tourism, often seen proudly donning his kilt in public and never shying away from being a positive spokesperson for the area while keeping his own industry in check. And we are privileged to Dennis's right to be joined by Coop. Brian Cooper, affectionately known as Coop, is a cherished member of the Ambassatours team. A former elementary school teacher, Coop has dedicated his post-retirement life to community service. Known for his daily 10-kilometer walks to pick up litter in downtown Halifax, Coop's efforts have not gone unnoticed. No, he was awarded the Nova Scotia Pineapple Award by the Tourism Industry Association of Nova Scotia for his exceptional community involvement and service. Coop's enthusiasm, kindness, and unwavering commitment to keeping Halifax clean and welcoming guests make him a true local hero. How was that, gentlemen? Did you like those intros?
That was great.
Is this like mic drop now? You just leave and end your careers because it's done?
We're done. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's perfect. Well, let's jump right into it. So, Dennis, I'll turn to you. Can you give us sort of a brief rundown of Ambassatours and kind of the unique experiences it offers to both tourists and locals here in Halifax?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you did a great intro, but just to maybe add to it a little bit, I'd like to say, Ambassatours is the Atlantic Canada's largest land and water and amphibious sightseeing operator. And we're a company that really takes tremendous pride in what we do. We like to say that we have the sincere honor and privilege of fulfilling vacation dreams. And when I say that, sometimes it comes across as perhaps corny, but I tell all of our new staff that. I say, if you don't understand that, then you're in the wrong place, because it truly is an honor and a privilege to show off this incredible region. And I say, when you look at the world, there's so many great places, but my gosh, I mean, Halifax, its time has come. We live in one of the best cities, in one of the best provinces, in one of the best countries in the world. How fortunate are we? So when we take care of these visitors who have entrusted us with their well-earned money, we gotta, it's showtime. We gotta step up. We gotta really deliver, give of ourselves beyond. And if you're having a bad day, then leave it at home, because when it's showtime, you have this honor, this privilege, and if you do it right, you will get so much more out of it. But again, how fortunate are we to do this every day in one way, shape, or form or another? Because not everyone is a tour guide. You might be a captain, or you might be a mechanic for us, or someone in the office or finance department or what have you, or someone selling tickets down to the cruise ship here. We've got so many different jobs, so many very diverse staff, from very young university students right up till we had someone who was working for us up until pre-COVID who was 93 years old, still doing well. But unfortunately, because of COVID, he's not come back to work. But we were very proud of that. And anyway, so any 93-year-olds out there who might be interested in work, the door's open.
Yeah, that eligibility is open for everyone. That's
Yes.
good. That's as it should be. And what is the state of tourism in the city? And this is a question for both of you gentlemen right now. And I'm going to preface this with saying we banned ourselves from discussing the pandemic long ago on this podcast. And in your industry, you're sick of people asking you to make comparisons to pre-pandemic times. So let's just look at the today, not compared to where we were. What is the state of tourism? And people often, when they hear the word tourism, they think people coming in, visitors. It's a two-part question. How does the state of tourism today open up opportunities for locals to both engage with your experiences and with tourism in general? And I'd like both of you to answer that, because I think you both have some different perspectives.
Okay, well, that's a great question. And I would say that the opportunities in tourism today in this area are absolutely fantastic. Again, I said earlier, Halifax's time has come. I've lived here my whole 55 years, and I never imagined that Halifax would be what it is today, and it's just getting better and better and cooler and cooler. And the people around the world are realizing that. Halifax is on the map. The cruise lines tell us that this destination, the Canada-New England destination, is the one of the strongest repeat cruise destinations on the planet. One of the major lines, which I can't really say on the podcast, but one of the major lines that comes here and goes all around the world tells us this destination, Canada-New England, is number one in the world for repeat. 74% of every passenger off these massive cruise ships for that line has come here before. So they keep saying to us, well, you as an operator, you as a region need to keep reinventing yourselves because Piggy's Cove is the number one attraction when people come here, but people are only going to go to Piggy's Cove maybe once, twice. They're not likely to go 3-4 times. So they say, you have to keep reinventing yourself. So what we say in the company is when there are new operators on the waterfront or in Halifax that might be somewhat competitive, we welcome them. And we say to them, listen, understand something. We're your friend if you're a good operator. If you're not a good operator, then don't call us for help. But if you are a good operator and you work to raise the experience and raise the bar in the industry and work together with the industry, then we all win and the pie gets bigger. And this is what's been happening generally. You always find a few exceptions, but I say to entrepreneurs out there that are thinking of getting into it, it's a good time because the cruise lines are telling us there'll be a little bit of a dip next year with some of the major lines in terms of their arrivals to this region. Not big dip, but they're telling us 26 and beyond is going to be steady upward growth for several years. So,
love it.
Yeah, it's exciting. For sure.
And Coop, talk a little bit about, let's pivot to the other question then in terms of locals. So, again, I will tell a pandemic story and then I'll shut my mouth again. But my wife and I have always left the country to travel, something we've always done. And during the pandemic, we were forced to stay at home. We had to learn to do things and subsequently fell back in love with the area. I was never negative about Halifax, but I'm not, I wasn't as big as an advocate as I am now for the city. So with your experience on the ground, you meet people daily. I'm sure you see a mix of people from all around the world and locals. What can locals do to engage with the tourism that is essentially right on their doorstep? Other people travel from around the world and pay, for some of them, a lifetime savings to get here. We have that. For some people, a 3-minute walk away. How can we take advantage?
Yeah, so one thing my main focus on the pier is to sell the hop on, hop off. And I strongly encourage people to not just take the bus trip, but to hop off. And I promote Spring Garden Road massively to everyone and tell them about all the great shops there are on Spring Garden and the downtown area. And I encourage them to get off at stop number 10, which is down near Cal's Ice Cream. And as soon as I say that, their faces light up. And they've done the research on Halifax and they've heard of Cal's. And then I encourage them to walk the boardwalk. And I tell them about all the businesses and the restaurants and the beer garden and everything out in the museums that they can see. So by doing that, I'm hoping that the local stores and restaurants and so forth, and I know they're welcoming these people into their businesses. And I've heard from lots of people downtown saying that we had so many people today from your cruise ship.
And what is the feedback like? Do you get people that stop and talk to you on the return?
Oh,
I'm sure you get lots of praise for being giving great suggestions. You're like a walking Yelp.
And thank you. And even like today, after I got off work today, I went out to do my daily cleanup, and I ran into people that I had sold hop-on tickets to. And they
Alec's going to grill you about that next.
And they stopped me to thank me for encouraging them to take the hop-on and to see the local town.
That must be rewarding.
Yeah, it's great. I've always said that with Ambassatours. I've been with them now for 6 years, and I love being a teacher, but this job, I walk to work with a smile, and I walk home with a bigger smile every single day. Yeah, it's amazing.
More than most can say that. That's great.
Oh, 100%. So in staying on that topic and keeping the spotlight on you for a second here, you've become sort of a local hero with what you've done. And I just want to know, where did the inspiration for that come from? What sort of led you to taking up that initiative on your own account? And how's the community reacted to that and responded?
Well, I know you didn't want to bring up the word COVID, but that's how it started.
Oh, you're allowed to, just Alec and I. Yeah,
okay.
Guests, you can do what you want. There's no rules for guests. You come on here, it's an open space. So we have strict rules we have to abide by. Yeah.
Excellent. So in 2020, when COVID was here, the cruise ships did not come. So I'm a retired teacher. My wife said to me, "You're not staying home all day." She works from home, so she said, you need to get out and go for a walk, do something. I really dislike walking, just for the sake of walking. So one night we were walking, and I was complaining about the garbage on the street. And she said, well, there you go. There's your mission. Why don't you go pick up garbage for a few days? And that was 4 years ago. And I do it all year. And I've got to know a lot of people along the street. I see my regulars that come out to businesses and say hello to me. I meet a lot of tourists. I have a lot of people stop and thank me, want to know if I'm getting paid for it. One woman wanted to know if I was doing it for community service for jail time.
Well, when I met you, I saw you. I was like, well, he looks like a criminal.
Thank you. But it is rewarding. And people ask, are you getting paid for this? And I said, no. What I receive from the job, the thank yous and the smiles that I receive, that's so rewarding. I just love it.
And I'm sure for you, it's a source of pride as well, Dennis. How does the company, because this wasn't a requirement of the job, it wasn't mandated by the company, but a privilege for you to have Coop as part of the team. Tell us a bit about that, how it's changed the way that you see the relationship as well between community service and tourism.
Yeah, no question. I say all the time, our greatest asset is our team, our staff, and it's true. It absolutely is true, and we're so fortunate to have so many great staff. But you have someone like Coop who goes above and beyond. Like, who takes their day every day to go clean up many bags of garbage? I think you usually end up with 8 or 9 or 10.
This is every day.
Every day.
Just about every day.
Yeah.
We're creating some garbage in this city.
and that's just such a cool thing. And how, it's very selfless. But sure, he gets a good exercise and meets people and so on, but it's just such a cool thing. And so for us, I tell the story. We've got so many great stories, but that's one story I often tell. So for example, I was down in Miami at the world's largest cruise ship show in March or April. And one of the senior cruise executives from one of the major lines said, I'm coming up on one of our ships this summer. And I said, okay, what can we do for you? We want to make sure you have the best time while you're here. And he said, Dennis, relax. Don't worry about anything. All I want to do is I want to go to a really good Irish pub. I said, well, great. You are coming to the right place. I said, Halifax has so many great pubs. But I said, it has 2 of the greatest Irish pubs I've found anywhere in the world. Although I haven't been to Ireland yet. Shame on me. I'll get there. But I said, we have our leading tour ticket salesperson on the cruise ship here that generates more pier-side sales for you than you possibly know. I said, he actually is kind of a local celebrity at one of the 2 greatest Irish pubs. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, well, can I say this, Coop? Okay. So Coop actually is, his watering hole is Dirty Nelly's. And if you go into Dirty Nelly's.
Nice. Cushman's official clubhouse of choice.
Right. Yeah. So, but if you go into Dirty Nelly's, you will actually see a plaque up on the wall for the number of visits that Coop's been there. Now,
is this true?
This is true.
This is a good. You never need a reason to go to Dirty Nelly's, but we go back.
Now you got to go and check it out. And every 100 visits, they give them a new plaque. And what are we up to now? 500?
588.
500. Yeah. So how does that translate to frequency? Do you have a set schedule or?
Well, since my wife might be listening to this,
I can guarantee your wife is definitely listening to this.
When I'm out for my walk, I do get thirsty, or I have to use the washroom, so I stop into Nelly's and I might have a beer. So I'm there. Maybe.
This is a pro alcohol podcast too. Yeah. We have to remind our listeners to drink responsibly and legally and always show ID. But no, I think that's wonderful, and it's a great spot. And in fact, Dirty Nelly's is on the sort of staple list of things that we do when we have people from out of province come to us. And we're often asked, aren't we? Draw up the laundry list of things you must do, and we have a question for you both about that later. And if you want the traditional experience that might become the traditional belligerent experience after a certain hour, you go to Dirty Nelly's. Our company ends up there in the early hours after every event. We've never had a bad night. So the plaques, for people listening locally, where do we look? We're going in through the door.
Next time I go, I'm going to definitely look.
Be like 4 o'clock.
Straight,
if I go tonight, I don't know.
Go in the front door, straight down.
Okay.
You see the end of the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Turn to your right. My plaque is there, and there's a picture of my wife and I just above the plaque now. They put that up for our 500th anniversary.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So you hit 1,000.
Awesome.
If you reverse engineer that, when are you hitting 1,000?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah. We average
working
about
I can put him in competition with Coop here.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I gotta check that out. I gotta see that. I think I got plans.
If I may, I have to tell you. So this cruise executive, I tell him about Coop, and he said, "Oh, I want to go with Coop to Dirty Nellies." And I said, "Great." I said, "Actually," I said, "Coop, there's an incredible thing. When Coop's done his shift, sometimes before a shift, but usually after his shift, he goes and he picks up garbage around Halifax, and then he usually sort of stops in the middle or wraps up at Dirty Nellies." And he said, "Dennis, I want to go not only to Dirty Nellies with Coop, but I want to go pick up garbage with Coop." And I said, "That's awesome." I said, "You know what? You're on your vacation with your wife, though." So I said, just pick up a piece or two and we'll get a photo and then we'll put it in the cruise news. And he goes, No. I want to go and do this properly with Coop. So that's the plan. Later in a few weeks, he's coming to Halifax and he's going to be the senior cruise executive, that does cruises all around the world or sends cruises all around the world, is really excited. He's been in contact to say, that's what I want to do. And that's what we've got set up. And so it'll be happening soon.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
Sorry about that, Coop.
This is the first scoop we've had in a while on this
Here's the
podcast.
scoop.
Oh, oops. Sorry about that, Coop.
It's like I was going to Nelly's at night anyway, so it's all okay.
Well, you know what this screams to me is, and I'm being serious here, is you look at the people at the top of companies and it can be really hard to engage with folks. And Alec and I, we spend our careers trying to engage with decision makers. And it's proof that the sort of simple community engagement can be the most powerful thing. I mean, you could have taken him to Ashburn, clad him in gold, taken him on a nice round of golf, and then taken him somewhere in a limo. But no, we've got somebody here who's working hard in the community every day and I mean this nicely, Coop, a very unique way. It's not the typical self-appointed community service mandate. And here you've got a top cruise executive who wants to spend time with him. And I think genuinely we'll learn a lot about our city doing it and the people in our city.
Yes,
that's
for
wonderful.
sure. Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
So looking ahead towards the future, we love asking this question. So where do you think, and this could be for both of you, the tourism in Halifax the next few years, where we're headed, and how can we keep things fresh and exciting, not just for tourists coming in, but for locals as well to stay engaged? Because I'll admit there's stuff I've never done here as a local. I've lived here I'm 27 years old, and there's some stuff I've never done. But what are some things that we can do to get that refreshed vibe back in?
That's a great question. And I guess the first thing I'd say is to encourage everybody listening, if you're local in Halifax, is get out there and experience it, because you're right. There's so much that locals don't do. Interestingly enough, for all of my career, I mean, this is all I've ever done. I'm 55 years old. And all of my career, we could never get locals to go on tour buses locally for a city tour, Peggy's Cove, Lunenburg. However, the crazy thing about it is on Harbor Hoppers, almost half of our clientele, not quite, but 40%, a little over 40%, are locals. And so how is it we can't get anyone on anything else, but on Harbor Hoppers, we get them? The reason being is because when you ask them, they'll say, well, the Harbor Hoppers it's such a cool product. It's open air, it's a fun tour, it's half-hour land, half-hour in water. It's so unique and special. The splash, the guides are very, very animated and fun and creative. And so what you hear is when you have visiting friends and relatives, you got to take them on the Harbor Hopper. It's the thing to do. It's become part of the fabric of what Halifax is. And so we're constantly trying to improve it. We know that it's not perfect. We know that, for example, they're diesel machines. We've been spending a lot of time looking at making them hybrid. We've been spending a lot of time and money on making them quieter and different things like that. But generally, it's a great, great product. So I say to people, okay, well, that's just one product. There's so many other great things out there. And so I say to people, get out and, go to our beaches, go to George's Island, go to McNabb's Island, go over to Dartmouth and see, if you haven't been there in a while, to see how cool it is, because it's cool. And you wouldn't have said that about Dartmouth,
No, it's changed so much.
It really has, So many little cool shops and boutiques and pubs and microbreweries and live entertainment going on there and parks all along the waterfront. And yet, it's not even close to what it will be. I mean, and so you look at cruise ships, for example, that come to Halifax, and because of our container growth, we just lost 2 piers for 2 large ships. So instead of 5, we can only have 3 now, or 2 more can more in the harbor, and then come in by tender, which is not ideal, but that's short term. So we've been a big advocate of, where would you put cruise berths in the future? Yes, Halifax would be great, but it doesn't appear that there's anywhere to put them on the Halifax side. So is Dartmouth a good option? It's a great option because, again, downtown Dartmouth, it's so cool. If you look at the Halifax waterfront, the cruise ship is a big part of what built the Halifax waterfront, the revenues over the years. Same in Charlottetown and St. John, like cruise ship built those waterfronts to a large extent. And Dartmouth, if it had that injection of large cruise ships coming into that community and the economic impact to downtown Dartmouth, to Fisherman's Cove, Eastern Shore Marine Drive, to the Annapolis Valley, it would be huge, because to go from the south end of Halifax to the Annapolis Valley, it's an hour closer from downtown Dartmouth, because it takes about 25 minutes to get from the south end of Halifax across the bridge. If you're already over on the Dartmouth side, you got a head start. All of a sudden,
I've never thought of that. It's very true.
it is. And all of a sudden, like Wolfville, which is wonderful with, the expulsion of the Acadians and the winery options and all the beautiful little town, Wolfville now becomes about the same amount of time in distance as Peggy's Cove. So now it's not a full day trip. Now it's a half day trip. You can turn that bus around, and now you have serious numbers that are going to want to go to that place that will deliver with the experience. So it's just wonderful stuff. And it takes the pressure off of Peggy's Cove and the South Shore and so on. And Peggy's Cove, everyone will always want to go to Peggy's Cove, but we need other places for these repeat guests to go, because again, they're not going to keep going to Peggy's Cove over and over and over.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I take a lot of people to Peggy's Cove as a Brit. People visit and we take them. And I will interject with a quick story. I told this to Dennis when I met him recently for coffee, but I'm going to tell it again. I ended up, let me backtrack. My wedding was in 2012, and it was the last, I believe, Tall Ships Festival. Would that have been 2012? Not been one since.
Yes, I think you're right, yeah.
And my parents were in the whole family came over, and my parents said, we want to go on this Harbour Hopper thing we've been seeing. And I said, never been on, gotta go. Bought 3 tickets, had a wonderful tour. That afternoon, my brother and his my now sister-in-law had arrived. So they said, we really want to go on that cool-looking thing. Do you want to come on? I said, okay, I'll go on. Yeah, I hadn't told them I'd been on with my parents in the morning. So I went on with them again and ended up going on it twice in a day. That evening, my aunt and uncle flew in. We were in downtown Halifax the next morning, and they said, we really want to go on the Harbour Hopper thing. And they came back with 3 tickets, so I ended up back on it the next morning. So I actually went on the Harbour Hopper 3 times in 24 hours without people really knowing I'd been on it the other 2 times. But this is the point I'm trying to make, was it never felt like it was the repeat tour of the same cookie-cutter robotic spiel. It was different every time. And the novelty of kind of checking in with the harbour and then going down into the water, it's cool.
Yeah.
And this leads me to my next question, and then Alec will ask us our complex wrap-up question, which requires you to think on the spot. But you can promote yourself here, because we're very grateful for your time on the podcast today. So we know that a lot of locals go on the Harbour Hopper. What is, and I'm going to ask you for one each, what is the one Ambassatours product service excursion trip tour that people should check out who are local? What thing will they go on? I think I know what you're going to say, and they'll go, that blew my mind. I did not know we had that there.
Okay, before I do, Coop, would you like me to answer that, or would you go ahead?
I think the Tall Ship Silva. I went on that a few years ago with my son, who was coming home from China. He was a school teacher, came home, and he said, Dad, let's do something. We went on the Silva. And they had 2 tours, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. The afternoon one was a pirate theme.
Wow.
So I said to my son, he said to me, he was 25. He goes, Dad, you have pirate outfits, don't you? I went, yeah.
I'm a dad. I've got a pirate outfit.
Let's do it. So we got dressed up in the pirate's outfit, went to the Silva. People thought we were part of the company. I said, no, we're just...
Did you accept the tips they tried to give you?
No. One lady got upset because she thought we were going to take over the boat before the end of the tour. So, the Silva is a great experience. And all the weekend cruises out to the harbor.
Yeah, the George's Island.
George's Island, all that. It's fantastic. I strongly encourage the citizens of Halifax to try out the tours of the harbor on the weekends.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree with Coop. I will give a different one because he stole mine. But the reality is, the Tall Ship Silva, like Coop said, it is if you've never been on board, you get on board. It's our iconic number 1 most popular vessel beyond the harbor hoppers. But there's so many different programs: wines on the water and craft beer cruise and sunset cruise, and most all of our cruises on the Tall Ship Silva go down the Northwest Arm, and most all of our cruises on the Tall Ship Silva have live entertainment, and that wasn't the case pre-COVID. We had a little bit here and there, but as a result of COVID, to draw locals out, we put the live entertainment, and we said, we got to keep going with this. So we're employing a lot more entertainers now than we ever did before, and it is that true maritime experience on this massive tall ship. And again, hard to beat the Northwest Arm, but because Coop already said this, my actual other favorite one is our country music cruise. And I probably shouldn't say that. And the reason I shouldn't say that is because the fact that it's sold out pretty much every weekend.
So good luck trying to get Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah. You do have to book in advance because it was booked out last weekend. It's booked out this weekend, and it'll be booked out, from past experience every weekend. But so we're actually contemplating like putting on a whole separate extra departure because that's so popular, and it's just wholesome fun. And it's just you got to experience. I wasn't a big country music fan, but I've become more of a country music fan because it's just that fun being on it.
So I'll admit I'm not a country music fan, which means we should try the tour.
You should.
We
You'd
should
be
see
surprised.
if we convert. I'm going to embarrass Alec for a second here. I'm really sorry, Alec.
What are you gonna roast me?
Yeah, I'm going to roast Alec. We used to record in we'll just say in another studio, and it did have a beautiful view over the waterfront.
Oh.
He knows what the story is. We were recording once, and Alec stopped in his tracks and went, "Oh my gosh, it's the Blue Nose." And everyone else in the room went, "No, it's the Silver. It's been out on the harbor for years."
It struck me. I don't know. I got confused. I'm actually going on one this weekend. I don't know it's a party boat. I don't know if it's the Silver, the country, or what. It's on Saturday.
Saturday, it's probably the party cruise on the Harbor Queen.
That's good. Yes, my fiance bought the tickets. I don't know, but
It's a fun time too. It really is.
Okay, I think I might have did the Harbor Queen once before, and it was wicked. We had an awesome time. I can say this now because he's with her, but my best friend met his girlfriend there on that cruise for the first time, and they're together. And
you're changing lives.
Well, you wouldn't believe how many people come up to us, tell us that they're married and their first date was on the Silva. We hear that all the time.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah, no, we love going on those things. So I think we got about, last time, we got 14 people got tickets. So we're trying to get as many people as we can. So
Alec, I love you.
It's going to be fun. It's going to
Form
be
your
fun.
own country music band, you can be the entertainment.
I'm very excited. I've never been on that. So I've been on the Harbor Queen, but that's what it would be this weekend, the Harbor Queen?
Yeah, the Mississippi paddle wheeler.
Okay, yeah. We're going to have a ball.
Yeah, but don't feel bad about that, the Blue Nose. We hear actually a lot of people. We get that all the time. So if we can...
Don't feel so bad now.
Yeah. If we can have people thinking the Blue Nose is more present in Halifax, that's great.
Hey, no. It actually that was the name of the episode, right? The Blue Nose.
We called it the Blue Nose. The fake false Blue Nose or something. Yeah, anyway.
We'll take it.
Alex got a really hard question for you both.
We always end off with a hard
We're
hitting
getting
question.
our 2-minute warning there from our producer.
Okay. Ooh, I like this one. So if Matter of Fax was setting up a bus tour of the city, and it could only include one stop and one place to eat. One stop, one place to eat. What's the itinerary?
One stop. Public Gardens.
Ooh.
Love the
it.
gardens.
Yeah.
And since they sponsor me, Dirty Nellies.
Okay. You couldn't say anything else. You'd be breaking a contract. We'd be involved in a lawsuit, and we've avoided many lawsuits, and we don't want to get into one.
Yeah. Wow. Coop, well said. Well said. Well, there's so many great stops. And so it's a tricky one to pick, but I'm actually going to pick the one stop being Queen's Mark. And the reason I say that is because it's a spectacular $200 million plus development with so many great restaurants and now shops, but the art and the architecture is spectacular. But you can also get your Cow's ice cream right at or beside Queen's Mark. Yeah. And that Cow's in Cable Wharf is the showpiece of all Cow's in Canada. And Cow's is right across country. And, Cow's is voted by Reader's Digest as the best ice cream in Canada. And so like Coop said, you mention it to people and they associate, they've read about it. And when they go and try it, it delivers it. They love it. How can you not love a Cow's ice cream? So that's that. Now that's my stop. and the cows wasn't the meal because you want to have a full meal. I'm actually
You've
going
already thought about this.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a roll here. I'm actually going to say, as much as I love Dirty Nellies, I have to say, I'm going to say the Old Triangle because it's another great Irish
Another
pub.
one of our
you know,
places.
you can't beat it. They're both equally great. So, we're blessed with so many pubs, but you got to love both those Irish pubs. Those are two of my favorite pubs in the city.
I'm so pleased neither of you said McDonald's on Spring Garden or Taco Bell out on the 102. No, I appreciate it, gentlemen. We've had a ball. Thank you so much. And I know it's high season for you right now and everyone's busy and things are pumping away at literal full steam. So we appreciate you giving your time up to come on the podcast.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. It's a joy. Thank you.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Matter of Fax podcast.
But you can get more of us. You can subscribe on any good podcast provider. You can follow us on Instagram at Matter of Fax Podcast. And for all that great feedback and abuse, you can send it by email to halifaxpodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, you can always find James Collins and I on the internet.
Please do get in touch, and we look forward to seeing you next time.